When creating a web application, you can think of it as having a division between two responsibilities. You can either host static content or dynamic content. Static content can be things like HTML files for websites or images, videos, etc. Dynamic content, on the other hand, is served through a web API, or sometimes it's used to serve dynamic web pages where the content or the view is composed on the server itself. In our case, we'll look at serving a simple HTML file for static files, and then we will create a web API to show how we can serve dynamic content. So let's begin by serving some static files with Express.js. The first thing we'll need to do is create our project folder. So please go ahead and do that, since we'll be working in this folder over multiple videos, and we won't be recreating a new project for every video. Then make sure you open up that folder inside your editor. Next, let's create our server file. So I'll create a new file and call it server.js. One thing to keep in mind is that Express does not come with Node, and so we'll need to install it using npm just like we did for all the other third-party packages. But if we want to save all of our dependencies that we install, we'll need to create our package.json file first. So just like we did before, we'll use npm init to do that. So I'll use npm init -- yes. And now we have our package.json file. Next, let's install Express. We'll use the command npm install -s to save it to our package.json file, and then we'll type in Express. Let's check our package.json file, and you can see that under the dependencies list we have Express. And in our Node modules folder, if we scroll down, you can see all of the dependencies that Express came with, as well as the Express folder itself. So now let's begin by requiring it into a variable we'll call Express inside our server.js file. And then we'll set reference to a variable called app from an instance of Express. And then let's get the Express server started and listening for requests by typing in app.listen. And it will take in a port in the first parameter, so I'll type in 3000. So let's save that, then we'll use nodemon and run server.js. Now if we start our browser and we go over to localhost 3000 and we open up the developer console and then go to network tab and once again refresh, we can see we're getting a response, but with a status of 44 not found because nothing is being hosted or served yet. So now let's serve some static content with Express. We'll begin by using the function app.use, and then we'll create an HTML file called index.html that will get served through app.use. So above our app.listen, I'll set up app.use to get it prepped for our HTML file. Since I'm using nodemon and I've saved this file, we're getting an error since we're not actually defining anything to use yet. So let's create a new file called index.html. And inside here, I'll type in hello. I'll save that and close out the HTML. Now, in order to tell Express that we'll be serving a static file, inside our app.use on line 4, we'll use express.static. And we'll pass in the entire directory with __dir name. Let's save that and then try it again in our browser. So I'll refresh, and you can see the index page or HTML file is automatically served now, and we're getting our hello placeholder text. One other change I'd like to make is to set a callback on our app.listen. And then we'll pass in a callback that takes in no parameters, and we can type in console.log server is listening on port, and then we could hardcode the port, or we could get reference to the actual port in case it changes once we deploy our app on a server. And we can do that by creating a variable called server and setting it to our app.listen. Then in our callback, as a second parameter to our console log, we'll call server.address.port. Let's save that and give it a try. And as we can see, we're getting our message in our console, server is listening on port 3000. Now that our backend server is running and hosting a static file, let's take a quick look at setting up a front-end demo app that will work with our backend.